Hey guys, Duchess Braids here and welcome back to my channel. So today I have my hair freshly washed and ready for some braids. So I'm going to be doing some straight back braids today, but I'm going to put a little twist to it and do like some boho braids at the end of those braids. So of course I'm going to always start with my infamous middle part because we're definitely going to need this part today because I'm doing about 12 braids. So then I'm going to part from ear to ear because I do want that guide, that halfway guide, so that I know I can get the parts straight. After I did my first middle part, I'm gonna part from ear to ear just so that once I start parting these braids, I have a special guide. So today I'm gonna be using my Duchess Braids precision comb. This is gonna get the parts nice and crispy. Then I'm gonna use the braid band. I'm not gonna use it much because and then I'm using some neat braids today, some crocodile clips or alligator clips, whichever, and some 3X expressions hair and some curly hair from Amazon. I'm gonna be tagging every single thing that I'm using in this video. It's gonna be on the video itself, bottom left, where you can hit that shopping button and you'll be able to see them there, or also in the description. So I went ahead with a neat braids gel and I put some at the nape of my neck because one thing I like to do when I'm doing any type of braid style or straight backs that is more than like 8 braids, I like to put at least one row of knotless braids at the back. So that's what I'm parting out. This one row is going to allow more space at the nape so that the braids aren't fighting for space at the back. They're not like jumbled up on top of each other. It gives the back some volume as well. So I have 2 layers of braids falling and it just gives it some volume. And then yeah, it alleviates the pain that you might normally get on the back of your neck if your neck is sensitive to pulling. So this is what those benefits that putting knotless braids does for your hair. So I'm going in now with the strands and I'm gonna put just 4 knotless braids at the back. And so I'm going in and I'm braiding it out, and now I'm gonna add the curly hair. So once I get all the strands of the straight braiding hair in, I go in with the curly hair. And yeah, this is the boho style. So, and then I'm gonna braid down some and then put some more curly hair in it. All in all, I'm probably putting about 5 to 6 pieces of curly hair on this. And again, I'm using the expressions hair for braiding, and it's about a 24-inch long hair. So this is gonna be long braids, and I really don't want it to be so long. So instead of putting the curly hair at the end of my braids, I'm gonna just tie the hair off a little bit shorter, and then I'm going to end up curling the braiding hair the same type of curls that the human curly hair has. I'm going to curl that at the end of the video. So now I'm going in with my first braid, and this is going to set the precedence of how big I want my braids to be. Honestly, I thought they would be bigger than this. Once it ended up being 12, I was like, whoa, I was not aiming for 12 because we're on a time crunch. I actually have a flight today to New York, and so I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to do everything. So I went ahead and parted it out, and what I do first is do like a mild part first, and then I go in with the jam or the neat braids gel and I slick the part, and then I go in and clean it up. And you guys are going to see this multiple times throughout this process, so just stay tuned and I'll explain every single thing that I'm doing. Maybe I'm breezing over stuff now, but once I'm repeating it again, I'll be able to really go into details on certain things that I've missed while showing this. So now I'm going in braiding. I braid back for a few turns first before adding in any type of hair. The thing about these straight backs is that I do want them to look a little natural, especially the laying on my scalp. I know that the back with the curly pieces and all that stuff and how long it is might not look as natural, but I do want I don't want it to be bulky and too thick. So I'm barely really adding much hair into this style. So I added a few pieces in the beginning, then I braided some back, and then right at the end to give it the amount of thickness that I need to match the plaits that's the knotless plaits at the back, I just add some more hair in so it could be as thick as those braids. Then I'm going to do the same thing that I did, and I'm going to add these curly pieces. I'm going to show you guys later on in the video what I did to manipulate the curly pieces and how to share them, so stay tuned for that as well. And don't worry about these little pieces sticking out, we're going to take care of that. So this is how I tie the braid off. I take out a small strand of the braiding hair and I wrap it around and I put it through a loop twice and just pull on it. That's all. And that is going to tie it off, and when I dip it, it's going to just keep it secured. So now I'm just pulling out some baby hair, y'all, because you know we don't have no natural baby hairs here, but this style would not look how it looked without some type of baby hair edges or something going on. So that's why I'm pulling it out, so that I don't braid it into the braids, or I'm not fighting with it to, you know, pull it out of the braids. So I went ahead and just twisted that and pulled it out. And now I'm going in with my second braid, and for this style, proportion is everything. So yes, I do want the parts to be straight, but I'm doing this on myself, y'all, so they're not going to be amazingly straight. But one thing I do want for this style is that the parts, for the parts to be proportional. I don't want some that's super tiny, some that's super big. So instead of focusing on the parts being super crisp and straight, which I know I'm not going to get because I'm doing this on myself, I can get close to it, but not like, you know, get it down pat like I'm doing it with someone else's hair. So what I'm going to do is just pay attention to the braids being proportional, being the right size. And once the way that I'm able to correct my part is just by looking, turning to my big mirror and taking a small mirror to kind of see where the part's at. And I'm going with the rat tail part of my comb, and I'm just going to straighten that. And sometimes this takes a few tries to get it to be straight enough to where I feel like, okay, I can move on. I know it's not going to be perfect. I know I'm doing it on myself. And really, once it's done, like, I could care less about these parts because, you know, as long as the braids is fire and the style overall looks good, like, of course, I do love a straight part. Y'all, if y'all that has been following me for a while know that, but anyways, this is how I fix my part. I go in with a regular part first, like a rough draft part, and then I layer the scalp with the gel, and then I go back in while using my mirror to kind of straighten it up as much as I can before moving on to braiding. So now I'm braiding, and like I said, I do a few turns before I even start adding hair, and this is going to make the braids look way more natural. And the braids that I'm adding in at the front part is really not a lot of hair. So the added in extensions is really small amount in the beginning because I really don't want it to be super thick. So I try to make it as much, or if not less, of the size of one leg. Let me say that again. Whenever I'm adding in hair, I want the amount that I'm adding in to be the size or less than the amount of one leg. And that is unless I'm in the back. I might get a little bit more frisky in the back and make it bigger. But if I'm in the front of my hairline and I want it to flow naturally, I'm going to make the size of the extensions I'm adding in less than or equal to the size of one leg of my braiding hair. You know, you guys, when you're braiding, you have about 3 legs that you intertwine at a time. So I want it to be the size of one leg. Another thing you want to pay attention to when braiding straight backs is that the further back you get to the back, the smaller the parts are going to be, or the braid's going to be, because you need to pay attention to the space that you have in the back compared to the space that you have in the front. I have a whole forehead. I have a whole space at the front. You guys see from ear to ear with my forehead going across, that's a lot of space. So imagine now trying to squeeze everything from the front into that little space that you have at the back. That's why I added those knotless braids back there. And even with that, you still don't have the same amount of space that you have at the front. So as you're parting, you do want to part and get smaller as you go back there, but just factoring all the braids you're going to be trying to fit into that small space, and just take that into account when you're parting. And you guys will see some more in the video where I am just trying to fix the hair or fix the part to ensure that I have enough space to do it. So now I'm just braiding in the back. And for everyone saying, does your arm hurt? Absolutely. Every time you see my head cocked to the right or to the left with a little pause, that's my arm hurting. And I'm just taking a little quick break. This video is sped up ×2, so I'm sitting there for a little bit longer than you guys see. But yes, I definitely take arm breaks, but I don't completely let go of the hair because then I'm gonna lose my place with braiding. I have to say, guys, I am really enjoying these do-it-yourself braid series because one, my hair is being done and staying done, and it's nice to just wake up and be presentable all the time. So I do feel like I'm gonna continue this series as much as I can because a lot of you guys have reached out to me and say you're learning a lot from this series and just inspiration to do your own hair. If you guys need lessons on braiding, I do have a braiding course available that kind of teaches you, I wouldn't say straight from the beginning. I don't teach you from zero skill to skill, but if you know how to braid a little bit, it could take you to a more advanced level, not necessarily on yourself, but on clients. But once you can braid on clients, then you can kind of turn it on yourself. And maybe I will introduce a new class where I'm just teaching you how to braid your own hair. But I do feel like these YouTube videos are very informative and helpful in some way. So let me know in the comments if it's helped you or if it is helping you, and so that I can continue to bring these videos to you and explain them as much as I can so that we could all be doing our own hair. I don't want to put the braiders out of business, but I know there's a lot of frustration in the community and people are just tired and just want to do their own hair, and I definitely encourage that. But if you can't do your hair, I definitely also encourage going to the professionals to get it done. So what I'm doing now is I'm sleeking up the side. So once I'm done with one half of my head and I get to that middle part, I don't like to continue over to the other side. I just like to start right back at the ear and go up back into the middle and meet in the middle. Ask me why, I have no clue, but that's just how I like to switch it up. You know, you can always just keep going. There's no specific reason why I switch over to the other side. I would like to say proportion, but I honestly do feel like the proportion comes better when you continue on from the middle onto the other side, because then you can gauge the bigger braids that's at the top and you can try to match those braids. And then if the braid by the ear is a little bit smaller, which is typically what happens, it's fine because it's less noticeable. But the braids at the top, if they tend to be a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger than the rest of the braids, that's very noticeable. But the one by the ear, no one really notices it. So here's the trick I wanted to show you guys. So I just learned this trick, and it's kind of hard to deal with adding in these human hair. So what I like to do is I like to put some gel on the tip of the hair, and then that's going to help me separate it properly and help keep them in place on the rack. So before, we'll just pull them apart and they'll kind of get a little messy, kind of get separated. But when you put some gel at the tip and just kind of place it on the rack like that, it helps the process so much easier. When you're adding it in, it's already gelled down, so it's like not sticking out too much. But now I have two braids left, and y'all, I'm gonna be fighting for my life with this part. And I contemplating cutting most of this out, but I really just wanted to show you guys, like, no matter what, you're gonna be struggling no matter how long you've been doing your own hair or whatever. It's okay. Like, I just want to show you guys that how you don't always get it right the first time, and just keep trying until you fix it. So right now I made the rough draft part, and I see that it's a little off, but before I even try to fix it with a rough draft, I always want to lay the gel on the scalp. The gel is always going to allow me to part a little bit better. It just allows me to straighten up the part so much better, because the hair is slicked to one side, and whenever I go across it with a comb, it's so easy to just like move it out the way without it trying to go back on the other side. So that's why I always recommend doing a rough draft part. I'm struggling with those, and then go in with the gel and then do a cleanup. So now I'm on the second time trying to part this hair straight, y'all. The gel is on, and once I pick up my mirror to look, I'm seeing, okay, the part is a little bit over to the left. So let me go back in and try to straighten that up. And what I like to do is hold the rat tail off the comb. I hold the mirror to make sure I line it up straight, and then I drop my mirror so that I can pull the hair apart. And I'm now too far over to the left, so now I have to fix that because it needs to be directly in the middle, y'all. So I'm using the mirrors and I'm like lining up my comb, and I'm just trying to get this thing straight. And by now, I'm like, this is my last and final attempt. Hold on, let me make sure. So no, it's not my last and final attempt because now the right side is smaller and I need to go back in to make sure I get a little bit more hair onto the right side of the head. All right. I swear this is my last and final time, and then I'm done trying because at the end of the day, sometimes I'm just like, as long as I get the braids back there, the part might not even show. But yeah, this is my final time doing this. I do see that little crook part, but I'm just not gonna pay it any attention. I do see the back of that part right there is kind of messed up. I'm just like, yeah, I need to go. I have a flight to catch. I'm just gonna braid this down, and it's gonna look fine once I'm done. So that's how I like to part the hair off in the front and get my three legs, and then I just start braiding. Oh, one technique that I forgot to tell you guys is that I'm using, normally, you know, for stitch braids, I'd use my pinky finger to get the stitches. But for these braids, I know I can't do stitch braids on myself yet. But what I do is I use my index finger, and I'm just using the point of my index finger to just make a straight line whenever I go through. I kind of like run it across my scalp in a straight line just to kind of give the effect of stitches, but I know it's not going to be super straight or super defined as like when I'm doing it with my pinky finger. So I just wanted to give it some lines, but I knew it wasn't going to be super straight or anything like that. But that's fine. I really, really enjoyed doing this style. It was super quick. And I'm just wondering what I'm going to do next. So if you guys can drop some suggestion, I do have something in my mind that I want to do. But if you guys have some suggestions, please do. But just know that I'm not going to do anything in my hair that's going to take me over 6 to 8 hours to do. So, yeah, some of your favorite styles might not get done. So this is where I start to get excited because I'm on the last braid. Y'all know how that is. Just like when you're sitting in a chair and there your braider is on the last braid. That's exactly how I feel when I'm on this last braid and just can't wait to get it done. So I went ahead and just braided that out. Added the hair in. Like I said, I put about 4 to 5 strands of curly human hair in, and it just turned out so pretty, guys. I went ahead and sleeked my edges down with this edge control I've been using. I'll let you guys know about it soon, maybe not in this video, but soon. And then I went in with the mousse. This is from Cara Care. I really like this mousse, and this is how y'all feel when I put mousse on your head. My clients love getting the mousse put on, and I know why, because it just soothes my scalp so much. And then I'm just gonna go in with a scarf and just so that I can tame the edges some, and also get the mousse to lay any type of flyaways down. And just then I'm gonna go in with some mousse at the end, because now I am about to curl up, show you guys how I curl up the hair at the end to make it the same length. So I'm using the orange curlers or orange rollers, and then I'm just gonna roll it up, and so I pull it out, I put some mousse on it, and I roll the tip around the orange roller, and then I just twist it upwards, and then I lock it back in place. And this is gonna keep it and hold it in place. It's not gonna unravel or anything like that. And I try my best to kind of go over the little tiny end with as I roll up so that it doesn't slip out. So now I'm going in with my hot water. Normally I have help with my hot water, but I don't today, so I have to be super careful. And yeah, I don't want to burn myself with this. The water is heated up to 212 degrees, so we're trying to be super careful with that so that I don't burn myself. But this was fairly easy to do. You know, I just dropped them in there and made sure I had two towels, one thickly across my shoulders so that I don't get it on my body, and then one to just kind of pull the heat or the water off of it. And yeah, once I did that, I started to pull the hair out. And as you can see, the curl is very similar, not the exact same, but very, very similar to the one I have in my hair. And that is the finished look, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I am in New York now, and this is my final video. I am getting so many compliments from this style, you guys, so many looks, and I just love it. It just fits my face, and it was so easy to do. Well, easy for me. I don't want to brag on y'all because I know sometimes I get a lot of comments about people not knowing how to do their hair, but it's just a lot of years of practice, y'all. That's it. That's all I got. But thank you guys for watching. See you next time.